Okay, let's continue with why it's important to manage your virtual international team effectively, especially if you're just actually a leader and you're a manager and you want to make sure that you effectively manage your virtual international team. Uh, the main reason is because your team members are spread across different countries, different time zones, and they have different cultures for sure, naturally. And that means people are not just working in different places. They may think differently, communicate differently, and even solve problems differently too. If a leader does not manage this environment and these multifaceted aspects properly, things can quickly fall apart. Of course, managers can get lost, misunderstandings can happen again and again, and people may feel frustrated, disconnected, or unmotivated even. So if you want to just actually manage your team effectively, you need to help everyone feel included and valued. Especially this is really important in the environment that is everything is virtual, and even from far away, this is really important. So good virtual leadership means that you set all the strategic goals clearly, you keep communication open so everyone feels comfortable reaching out to you, talking about their concerns. You respect different culture and cultural differences, and you try to build trust um, even without that daily face-to-face contact. So when you do that, the team stays productive, of course, creative, which is very important when it comes to NPD, new product development, and kind of united, right? No matter where they are in the world, they can actually work very closely and effectively. Let me share with you a very nice video, quick but nice.
We all know that teams can't function when coworkers don't trust one another. And establishing trust in a traditional physical working environment is difficult enough, but it's even tougher in a virtual environment when you have to work with people you've never met in person. My company has dug into the research and worked directly with dozens of large companies on how to build and maintain trust with them.
And this is really important because this is Harvard Business Review, and it's very important to build trust, especially in such environment. And building trust in virtual environments is not easy within team members because it's just like you're you're facing a lot of challenges, unknown factors in their cultures, and you're not familiar with their cultures and other factors.
Employees on virtual teams. Here's what we've learned. First, make the most of swift trust. When groups first form, the prevailing feeling is that, hey, we're all in this boat together. Success will reflect well on everyone. Failure is going to hurt all of us. In this atmosphere of swift trust, people have little choice but to trust each other. One great way to take advantage of this swift trust: tout the competence of all the team members and ensure that you've set very clear goals that everyone understands from the very beginning in that early important stage. Over time, swift trust will definitely decay, but it can help hold the team together until another type of bond develops. So what is that other bond? Interpersonal trust. This is something you have to proactively build. Don't take it for granted. Don't assume that people's work product will be enough to create that kind of interpersonal trust that really respects and cares. You need people to make those personal connections in order to go the extra mile for each other. Next, communicate with predictability. Research has found that the globally distributed teams that lack trust tend to have unpredictable communication patterns, often with just one or two people accounting for the lion's share of the communications. But in high trust teams, communications were regular and predictable. The team members contributed more equally and were conscientious about letting everyone know when they were actually going to be unavailable, so no one was left wondering why somebody hadn't responded to a message. Fourth, share and rotate power. I know this sounds odd. In a traditional workplace, teams are usually led by one person. But in a virtual environment, a centralized power structure is actually less effective. A study of virtual teams in a Fortune 500 IT company found that on high-trust teams, power actually shifted among the members depending upon the stage of the project.
This is really important, guys. Based on my experience, whenever you're working in the virtual team, this is really important to rotate the power. So everyone feels responsible, and that kind of feeling and responsibility uh, create the feeling of shared vision and shared responsibility, something that you want to have in your team.
Teams can't function without trust. And of course, we know that trust can be challenging to build without face-to-face interactions. But if you're managing a virtual team, don't just hope for the best. Make sure that you're proactive. Use the right practices and ensure that trust grows within that virtual team.
So I think that is really important. Let me actually go and share this screen again. So for the last part that we're going to discuss in this week is this research that was conducted by Gassman and Wan, and they studied 34 technology-intensive multinationals, and they actually, as you can see, identified 4 patterns of virtual international research and develop teams. Let's talk about each one of them one by one. The first one is decentralized self-coordination. As you can see in this model, each team operates independently without a central authority coordination, and the members are kind of located in various regions or even different countries, and they take responsibility for their own tasks and decision making. The structure of these type of teams are decentralized. It means that each team or group of team members is responsible for their own activities, and there is no central coordination. So they work kind of autonomously. Remember that we talk about autonomous activities and autonomous works. So that they work autonomously, but they have to align with the overall strategic goal and objectives of the project. So since there is no central coordination, the whole team members rely on self-coordination. And members from different locations, they need to make sure that they're working towards the same objectives. And communication is really important here because they need to communicate frequently to avoid overlapping or contradictory efforts in their projects. This approach is very good when you need flexibility, and it definitely can promote innovation because teams have the required freedom and autonomy to adapt and experiment without waiting for others or a manager to approve or any approval from a central authority. However, like other types, there are some challenges. The main risk is lack of alignment across team members. So because they're they may be inconsistent approaches, and we might face duplications of efforts or misunderstanding of overall project goals. But this structure will work best when teams have high level of independence, and the work can actually carried out with little need for kind of tight integration across different regions, especially when we are talking about just like international virtual teams. Uh, the second one is like system integrator as coordinator. In this pattern, if you just actually pay attention, there is a centralized system integrator and or coordinator who actually oversees the different international teams. The system integrator ensures that the work of all teams aligns and integrates smoothly, and they make sure all components of the project fits together well. Um, if you want to talk about the structure of this model, the virtual team in this model is coordinated by a system integrator at the middle, as you can see, who might be an individual or even sometimes a small group that are responsible for managing and overseeing the efforts of all decentralized teams. Um, it's very important to pay attention to the integrator's role because they make sure that the collaboration between different teams are there, and they integrate their outputs and they provide a strategic direction. So they often act as a central point of contact for all teams and kind of help integrate the various pieces of the project. This model is suitable for like teams that need more cohesion and a better integrated product because the system integrator can actually align and kind of synchronize efforts across different locations. And if we want to just point out to its challenges, we have to say that the success of this model depends on the ability of the integrator to manage and communicate effectively across the team. So if the integrator is like kind of too distant from the teams or sometimes lack the required authority, the process may be really inefficient. The third one is core team as a system architect. And as you can see in this pattern, a core team serves as the system architect of the project. The core team here is responsible for defining the overall structure and providing direction to the project, and they work closely with other teams to make sure that all the pieces fit together within the framework or the established framework that they have. Structure of this team is just like actually very simple because the core team serves as the central architect of the system, and they define overall vision, establish the project's architecture, and work with other international teams to make sure that each team's output aligns with the vision. When it comes to the coordination, the core team again communicates with different regional teams, ensuring their work fits into the kind of broader system, and all parts of the projects are kind of compatible. There are advantages, of course, to this model because we have a clear vision and consistent direction for the project. And the challenge is that the core team must have a very good, thorough understanding of the entire project. And that can be a little bit tricky because sometimes the people who are managing the project, they do not have like the overall understanding of the different aspects of the project. So there may be just like risk of some misalignments if communication or coordination between the core team and the regional teams breaks down. Last one is centralized venture team. And as you can see that like the big, large circle at the center here, in this pattern, everything is centralized. A centralized virtual venture team is responsible for everything, for projects, overall development and performance. And this team leads the innovation process, manages coordination between different regions, and even they just actually kind of maintain control over major decisions and resources. And as you can see, that's the reason that it's just like a large circle at the center. Regarding the structure, the centralized venture team is made of people who are responsible for driving the project forward. And they can actually monitor and oversee global teams, make major decisions, control resources to make sure that the project stays on track. The central team ensures that all regional team follows a common strategy and stay kind of aligned with their overall goals. And they act as the central decision-making body. They set priorities and directions for the project. This is really good when we need strong control and because the central team makes sure that all teams are focused on a single unified vision, and it allows for faster decision making because there's a central point of authority. However, the challenge is the central team as well, because they may become overwhelmed with the responsibilities of managing multiple teams and lack local insights because we're talking about international environment. And There is also a risk of over centralization because when regional teams feel they have little autonomy, it's not going to be beneficial to the overall performance of the project. But this model is useful when the project requires a central point of authority and a clear, decisive leadership. Everything is focused and centralized, and it's for just usually when we have like high stakes projects that need to move quickly, require tight coordination across teams. We usually actually use this type of model or pattern for managing our virtual team, especially in the international environment. And that's it for today. So make sure that you review my feedback, that I have provided feedback to your final paper draft. For those of you who have submitted your paper, if not, reach out to me. I'll reopen the assignment. Well, you have still time. So you can actually modify based on the provided feedback, and hopefully you can actually submit a very well-structured, well-organized, and high-quality final paper. Thank you so much, and we'll see you week 8. Thank you.